What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so Democrats wrestle with how to conduct oversight as Trump officials crack down. Oh, Lord, here we go. We got this coming from the Philadelphia Tribune, so you know it's going to be very, very partisan, very, very one-sided. And, they're a corporate press outlet, so they're obviously going to omit a lot of information that would be pertinent to forming your opinion correctly, if you will. Let's get into this. Just hours after she pled not guilty to federal charges brought by the Trump administration, New Jersey Rep. LaMonica McIver was surrounded by dozens of supportive Democratic colleagues in the halls of the Capitol. The case, they argued, strikes at the heart of congressional power. Here we go, y'all. If they can break LaMonica, they can break the House of Representatives, said New York Rep. Yvette Clarke, chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. Federal prosecutors allege that McIver interfered with law enforcement during a visit with two other House Democrats to an Immigration and Customs Enforcement facility in Newark, New Jersey. She calls the charges baseless. It's far from the only clash between congressional Democrats and the Republican administration as officials ramp up deportations of immigrants around the country. Now, once again, here we go right off the jump, right? Okay, so this might come as a shocker to some of the newer viewers around here, anybody that hasn't seen my face before. Donald Trump has not deported a single immigrant. That's right, folks. You might be going ahead and typing away, oh, that's not true. He's deported a lot. He hasn't deported any. Fact check true, as a matter of fact. He's only deported criminal aliens or illegal immigrants. I'm just saying, the corporate press, they never delineate between those two. We never get that. They just say, oh, they're just immigrants, because they want you to believe that Donald Trump is deporting citizens or immigrants or, anything of the like, people that are here legally. But he's not. He's only deporting people that are not here legally. Senator Alex Padilla of California was forcibly removed by federal agents while attempting to speak at a news conference for Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem.
Secretary, I want to know why you insist
so I want to say thank you to every single person that has been able to do this.
Hands up.
Also, I want to talk
Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the Secretary, because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your.
I also want to talk about
Padilla. I have questions for the Secretary, because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your.
I also want to talk
Hands off.
how many of our ICE agents have been doxxed for doing their duty.
At least 6 groups of House Democrats have recently been denied entry to ICE detention centers. In early June, federal agents entered the district office of Rep. Jerry Nadler and briefly detained a staffer. Now, you love that. Oh, talking about Alex Padilla. Oh, they just brushed right over that. Oh, he was just there trying to ask questions. Is that so? See, once again, the corporate press leaving out pertinent information. Yeah, they didn't mention that he stormed into that facility trying to bum rush Kristi Noem to get in her face to ask her questions while conducting a press conference, for crying out loud, knowing this guy knew this, right? He's a senator. He's been a senator for a very long time. He knows that the Homeland Security Secretary has Secret Service protection, and they're not going to let just anybody, a civilian, just bum rush and walk up to it. He knew what he was doing. He knew that that would put him in handcuffs. These people don't care, right? They're doing this intentionally, folks. They are trying to get arrested. They want this mugshot. That's what they want, and everything that comes with it. They saw what happened to Donald Trump. They saw his popularity just skyrocket after he got arrested. Well, you know, there's a vast difference between that mugshot right there and what these people are doing. Donald Trump didn't commit those crimes, for goodness sakes. It was all partisan nonsense. These people are bum rushing these places, right? Like McIver, that video of McIver, she's fighting with cops, for goodness sakes. This guy bum rushing the Homeland Security Secretary, trying to get, right? People can see the facts. People can see, look, you're not supposed to do that. They're not going to get on your side. You're not going to win any popularity contests by intentionally breaking the law just for press, right? Not all press is good press, by the way. You know that old saying, you know, any press is good press. That's not true. That's not true. When you intentionally break the law just to get arrested, just to try to win some sort of weird popularity contest, because your deranged brain connects what Trump did to, if I just do anything and get arrested, that same thing will happen to me. You're out of your freaking mind, Democrats. Once again, they just can't seem to learn their lessons, can they? Congressional Republicans have largely dismissed Democrats' behavior as inflammatory and inappropriate, and some have publicly supported the prosecution of McIver. Yes, nobody is above the law, right? Right? Democrats say it all the time. But once again, they're trying to give you these undertones of innocence, if you will. Oh, well, they're not really guilty of anything. They didn't do anything bad. Well, they broke the law. They broke the law. Look, I'm sorry. That's just how it is. Often in the dark about the Trump administration's moves, congressional Democrats are wrestling with how to perform their oversight duties at the time of rolling tensions with the White House and new restrictions on lawmakers visiting federal facilities. We have the authority to conduct oversight business, and clearly House Republicans are not doing that oversight here, said New Jersey Rep. Bob Menendez, one of the House Democrats who went with McIver to the Newark facility, ICE facility. It's our obligation to continue to do it on site at these detention facilities. And even if they don't want us, we are going to continue to exert our right. Yeah, you most certainly have the right. Nobody's denying that right. But, you know, that specific situation. Okay, so you got a protest going on. These people showed up while these protesters were getting kind of out of hand, right? They weren't really fighting with cops. It was just kind of a rowdy protest, right? So they show up while ICE is transferring some detainees off of a bus and into the facility. They want to try to barge their way into this facility to conduct oversight. They didn't call ahead. None of that. They didn't let them know that they were coming. They just showed up during a protest and transferring prisoners over here. It's like, no, come on. Let's show some sanity, Democrats. Call ahead. Let them know you're coming, right? Even if it's 10, 20 minutes. Let them know you're coming. Don't show up while there's a protest going. Don't show up while they're transferring detainees, for goodness sakes, and you'll get your oversight. They have no problems with that. But you can't just show up out of the blue, like I said, while a protest, blah, 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 and think that everything's just going to be fine. They're just going to let you walk right in, shove your way through the door. It's all nonsense, folks. They're crazy. They really are. They're doing all of this just to get more attention, to win a popularity contest. That's all it is. They think that if they can get arrested, that they'll somehow explode in popularity because they don't have a leader right now. Like I always talk about, they're lost in the desert. They have no leader. So they're just scraping away. It's like crabs in a bucket. They're scraping, trying to get to the top so they can be the guy on the top of the hill, the king of the hill, if you will. Look, I run the Democratic Party, blah, blah, blah. That's what they're doing. That's all this is about, folks. Democrats confront a stark new reality. Here we go. The prospect of facing charges for once routine oversight activity has alarmed many congressional Democrats who never expected to face criminal prosecution as elected officials. Yeah, they think they can get out there and say that nobody's above the law, but that doesn't apply to them because they're elected officials. Do you think that just because you're in the political class gives you some sort of immunity from prosecution? I mean, seriously. Lawmakers in both parties were also unnerved by the recent targeted shootings of 2 Minnesota lawmakers and the nation's tense political atmosphere. It's a moment that calls for personal courage of members of Congress, said Rep. Summer Lee of Pennsylvania. I wish that we had more physical protection. I think that that's one of those harsh realities that members of Congress who are not in leadership recognize, that oftentimes we do this job at our own peril and we do it anyway. The arrests and detentions of lawmakers have led some Democrats to take precautionary measures. Several have consulted with the House General Counsel about their right to conduct oversight. Multiple lawmakers also sought personal legal counsel, while others have called for a review of congressional rules to provide greater protections. The Capitol Police are the security force for the members of Congress. We need them to travel with us to go to facilities and events that the president may have us arrested for, said Rep. Jonathan Jackson of Illinois. That's freaking hilarious. Because, my guy, look, just abide by this one rule. That's it. Don't break the law. That's it. There's not a lot of transparency. Is that so? As the minority party in the House, Democrats lack the subpoena power to force the White House to provide information. That's a problem, they say, because the Trump administration is unusually secretive about its actions. Is that so? They've been quite transparent, a lot more transparent than the Biden administration. As a matter of fact, there's not a lot of transparency from day to day. Oftentimes, we're learning about what's happening at the same time as the rest of the nation, said Rep. Lucy McBath, who led a prayer for McIver at the Capitol rally. Democrats, to amplify their concerns, have turned to public letters, confronted officials at congressional hearings, and digital and media outreach to try to create public pressure. We have been very successful when they come in before committees, said Rep. Lauren Underwood of Illinois, who added that we believe the public inquiries have 100% resonated with voters. Tapping into the information pipeline. Congressional Democrats say they often rely on local lawmakers, business leaders, and advocates to be their eyes and ears on the ground. A handful of Democrats say their best sources of information are across the political aisle, since Republicans typically have cleaner lines of communication with the White House. I know who to call in Houston with the chamber. I think all of us do that, said Texas Rep. Sylvia Garcia, of how business leaders are keeping her updated. Garcia said Democrats need to put more pressure on leading figures in the agricultural, restaurant, and hospitality sectors to take their concerns about the immigrant crackdown to Trump's White House. They're the ones he'll listen to. They're the ones who can add the pressure. He's not going to listen to me, a Democrat who was an impeachment manager, who is on the bottom of his list if I'm on it at all, Garcia said. That's freaking hilarious. Rep. Jason Crow of Colorado, for instance, had a working relationship with for-profit ICE facility in his district until DHS in February ended reports as part of an agency-wide policy change. A member of Crow's staff now regularly goes to the facility and waits at times for hours until staff at the Aurora facility responded to detailed questions posed by the office. So what? That's just how things work. Sometimes they don't have time, right? These people are actually doing their job now. They don't have time to answer all these questions from squeaky Democrats that just want some sort of PR stunt. Come on, you Democrats are just being insane. Democrats say real oversight requires winning elections. I agree with that. Still, many House Democrats concede that they can conduct little of their desired oversight until they are back in the majority. Mark Avizzi of Texas said that real oversight power and muscle only comes when you have a gavel. Nothing else matters. No rusing oratory, no tours, no speeches, no social media or entertainment. None of that stuff, Veazey said. Because the thing that keeps Trump up at night more than anything else is the idea he's going to lose this House and there will be a real oversight pressure applied to him. That's funny. And I doubt Donald Trump thinks about that at all. I really do. But, it's fascinating to watch Democrats flounder right now because they're trying to do everything they can to build this consensus that, once again, Donald Trump is a fascist regime and that, they stole the election and all this other nonsense. But, to be honest with you, everything that I've seen, and once again, folks, I read a lot of news. I read a whole lot of news, a lot more than I cover on this channel. And, everything that I can see, I go and I read the White House briefings that they put out, the reports that they put out constantly. I'm always reading this stuff. And they've been extraordinarily transparent with a lot of things. They've been doing a really good job, right? They've been doing an awesome job. They've been getting destroyed, absolutely destroyed by these activist judges out here trying to stop them from conducting their duties. For goodness sakes, just standard duties, standard deportations, standard, stopping grants that they don't like. They've been getting stopped from doing everything. I mean, there were, I don't know how many freaking lawsuits trying to stop DOJ from auditing the government. How insane is that? Right? And once again, it's fascinating. A lot of those lawsuits should have never been brought. Because think about this. You have the government, they're doling out all these grants to NGOs. DOJ comes in. These same NGOs that are receiving grants from the federal government sue to stop DOJ from auditing the federal government. Don't you think that's some sort of conflict of interest there? But no, they're allowed to go through. And in some cases, they actually win. It's wild. It's just absolutely wild. They want to talk about transparency. Let's talk about DOJ. DOJ has made a lot transparent that I think Democrats did not want to be transparent. They did not want us to know where all this money was going to all these far-left ideologically driven nonsensical programs, right? All these grants that were going out for absolute BS. All this wasted money that we're spending on these ridiculous research programs. It's a bunch of nonsense. And Democrats are just losing their freaking minds. Right? Like I always say, they hear Trump or something happen, they'll barf all over themselves, roll around on the floor in it to make sure it's evenly spread out. It's like they don't know how to handle actual transparency. They don't want the public to know where this money is going. They write up all this legislation to spend your money and don't want you to know about it. I wonder why that is. I wonder why that is. Maybe it's because you guys would have a problem with just how much money they're spending. And the bad part is, right, there's an issue with the government spending money on nonsense. However, that's one thing, right? But when they're doing it in a deficit, when it's money that they don't have, they're robbing from the future to provide for the here and now. That's what that does. That's why I get so animated when we're talking about budgets in this country and the deficits. Because they're robbing from our children's future. They're kicking the can down the road, say, we can deal with that later. And they just continue to kick that can down the road. And we can't indefinitely deficit spend, for goodness sakes. At some point, we're going to have to balance our budget. We can't keep just raising the debt limit and just keep going into more and more and more debt. Inflation's going to run out of control. There's going to be a multitude of very, very terrible economic problems that result from deficit spending. It's just really, really bad. So maybe we should balance our budget. Maybe we shouldn't fund this project over here. Maybe we shouldn't have all these grants going out. Maybe we can suffer a little bit because Big Daddy government can't fund everything, for goodness sakes. But Democrats don't seem to see that. So I think I've rambled on for long enough. Y'all let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comments section. That's all I got. I want to thank everybody for watching. Hey, y'all don't forget to smash that like button, by the way, and share this video anywhere and everywhere that you can. Y'all sign up, become a member, do all that. I would really, really appreciate that. And y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.